Welcome back to the Mind Palace. Here, the body's perception unfolds as a symphony of signals and a seamless dialogue between the external world and the nervous system. Every touch, taste, sound, scent, and flash of light is first translated into a language the brain understands, the language of electrical impulses. Let's get into general senses. We begin at the skin, a gateway of sensation. Free nerve endings detect pain, temperature, and crude touch. Tactile discs and their hair receptors respond to pressure and movement, while the encapsulated endings like the messeners and the pectinidin corpuscles specialize in light touch and deep vibration. Each stimulus triggers a receptor potential, and that message travels by way of the first, second, and third order neurons, ascending through the spinal cord and thalamus until it reaches the somatosensory cortex, where the brain determines exactly where and what was felt. Pain stands apart. It signals danger, demanding attention. Fast, myelinated A delta fibers carry sharp, localized pain. Slow, unmyelinated C fibers deliver dull, aching pain. The brain can even modulate pain through descending pathways that release endorphins and enkephalins, neurotransmitters that inhibit pain signals at the spinal cord, closing the so-called spinal gates. The pain is both a warning and a teacher, essential for survival.
Now let's get into the chemical senses, taste, and smell. The tongue translates chemistry into flavor. About 4,000 taste buds clustered in papillae house gustatory cells that respond to taste tints dissolved in saliva. 5 primary sensations dominate: salty, sweet, sour, bitter, and umami. Each signal travels through the facial, glossopharyngeal, and vagus nerves to the solitary nucleus in the medulla, where they merge with emotion and memory. Higher still, in the nasal cavity, millions of olfactory cells from the only neurons directly exposed to the external environment. Odor molecules bind to their cilia, triggering receptor potentials that ascend through the cribriform plate to the olfactory bulbs. From there, signals travel directly to the limbic system, bypassing the thalamus, explaining why scent and memory are so deeply intertwined.
Moving on to the ear. The outer ear funnels sound waves through the auditory canal to the tympanic membrane. The vibration passes through the ossicles, malleus, incus, and stapes, to the oval window of the cochlea. Here, waves of paralymph ripple through the scala vestibuli and scala tympani, bending hair cells of the spiral organ embedded in the basilar membrane. Each deflection opens potassium gates in the stereocilia, converting mechanical energy into nerve impulses carried by the cochlear branch of the vestibulocochlear nerve. High frequencies stimulate the base of the cochlea. Low frequencies reach the apex. These impulses ascend to the auditory cortex, where the brain reconstructs pitch, volume, and meaning. In the same labyrinth, equilibrium is maintained. The saccule and the utricle detect linear acceleration. Semicircular ducts sense rotational movement. As endolymph shifts, it bends cilia within the ampullae, sending signals to the vestibular branch of the vestibulocochlear nerve, to the cerebellum and brainstem.
Moving on to the eye. At last, light. Waves between 400 and 700 nanometers into the cornea pass through the aqueous humor, pupil, and lens and focus on the retina. There, rods detect dim light while cones respond to color: short, blue, medium, green, and long, red wavelengths. Within each photoreceptor, pigment molecules like rhodopsin and photopsin absorb photons, causing the retinal component to shift from a cis to transconfiguration, a reaction known as bleaching. This initiates a cascade that ceases glutamate release, stimulating bipolar and ganglion cells, and ultimately generating an action potential in the optic nerve. The 2 optic nerves meet at the optic chiasm, where half of their fibers cross. From there, visual information travels to the thalamus to the primary visual cortex of the occipital lobe. Here, the image is reconstructed, shape, color, and motion combined into coherent sight. One visual stream identifies what we see, while another locates where it is, forming the complete experience of vision. Each of the senses, touch, pain, taste, smell, hearing, balance, and sight, is a portal between the physical and the perceptual. Together, they define how we interact with the world and ultimately how the world exists within us. In the Mind Palace, perception is not passive. It is creation, the brain composing reality from electrical whispers, turning sensation into awareness and awareness into experience.